Hi folks, I'm currently out enjoying the joys of Scottish summertime and wanted to have a quick chat to you about PCT permits. So along the length of the PCT, the trail passes through different areas where you basically need permits to hike the trail and to camp. And what the PCT long distance permit does is give you one document that gives you the right to camp and hike along all of those different sections without having to have individual documents for each one. It is a thing that causes a fair amount of stress, I think, to people who are considering hiking the PCT. I know in previous years where I've considered a through hike, considered attempting a through hike, going through the permit process, trying to go through the permit process did cause me a bit of stress, really. I don't actually think, however, that the process is that complicated. I think, you end up overcomplicating it in your head. The basic reality of it is that there is a registration period, or two separate registration periods, that are then followed by a permit release day. So for the 2027 sort of class of 2027 for the PCT, the permit registration, the first one, is from the 15th of October to the 22nd of October, with the release date then being the 4th of November. And then the subsequent sort of round is the registration is from the 5th of November to the 11th of December, with the release date being on the 13th of January. And then from the 14th and beyond, it's just a sort of free-for-all. So what does that actually look like? So for the registration period, you basically just need to log on to the PCTA website and click through the registration process. I'll put a link in the description to the actual website itself, and I can probably put it up on screen now for what it looks like and where you're going. But it's basically like filling any other sort of sign up online. It's not overly complicated. And if you do it sort of inside that window, then when it comes to the release day, I'll put up an email that I've had from previous years that I can show you for what you'll get sent, because basically on the release date, you will be given a time slot for when you can log on and fill out your own personal application. So when you get to your time slot, what will happen is you'll be given, a calendar will basically come up and show you what days have availability to pick a start date on. Then you'll click through on that start date and then fill in your details for what you're wanting to do. So obviously if you're northbound, southbound, where you're planning to start and where you're planning to finish, both in terms of location and date. So I will do a longer video once we get to the registration period this year, and then the permit release day of me trying to get my own permit for 2027. But I just wanted to make this video basically to show people that you don't need to be stressed out about permits. It is actually a fairly straightforward system, and it's not something that should be, upsetting you or getting you thinking that you're not going to be able to, to do your hike because you're not going to get a permit. It's fairly straightforward. All you need to remember to do is to register in that period, and then you'll get your time slot on the permit release date. And if you don't get it the first time, you have the second one. And then even if you don't get it on the second one, there's still plenty of cancellations between when the second one is released and then obviously once you'd be looking to start the trail. At the end of the day, permits are a really good thing. All of us who care about preserving the trail, who care about leave no trace, should be supporting these sorts of things, because it's there to, not to try and make anyone's life difficult, but to control the number of people that are heading along the trail, that are sleeping on the trail at any one time, and to prevent damage to the environment. And, for all of us hikers, all who love the sort of wild spaces, who love the trails, we should be supporting sort of efforts to protect that and to keep it in a good condition for the people that come after us, because that's I think the most important thing, preserving this for others, for the next generation. So, as much as it might be frustrating for you personally if you have a bit more of a difficult time getting the date you want, at the end of the day, it is a good thing overall, and there's certainly ways to work through it. So don't let it upset you. Right, so let's recap. You need to log on to the PCTA website during the registration period and set up an account. If you've done that, when you get to the permit release date, you'll be given a time slot where you can log in and submit an application. If that application is approved, which I'm fairly certain the vast majority of them are, as long as you've put in reasonable dates, reasonable timescale for completing the trail, then in the period just before you head off, you'll be able to get a digital copy and print off a physical copy to take with you. So honestly, don't stress. And if you want to see this process actually being done for real, as I say, once we get to October and then November, I will be doing the registration and the actual permit release day on this channel, talking through it, showing it. So if you'd like to see that, please subscribe, stick around. We're going to cover this, we're going to cover visas, what flights to get, how to get out to Campo, and then hopefully I'm actually out there walking the trail.